This video is sponsored by Adorama. Now, it's been a little bit over a year, almost 13 months now since I've been flying the DJI Air 2S. And if you guys watch my end of year video, I did as far as drone of the year for 2021. This was the drone. The DJI Air 2S is, for me, was the drone of the year for 2021. So what are my thoughts now that we're approaching the mid-year? There's been a few other drones that have hit the market. We also have the MAVIC 3. You have some of the ones from Autel. You have the Autel Lite Plus, Autel Lite, as well as the Nano. Is this still the drone to get in 2022? And to cut to the chase, the answer still is yes, just like it was in my 2021 video, but I will talk about some of those few reasons why you're gonna wanna pick up this drone still, even after a year. And before we jump into those few reasons, a quick word from today's sponsor, Adorama. And for those who aren't familiar with Adorama, Adorama is one of the largest, most reputable online retail stores that specializes in all of your camera gear, all of your lenses, lighting equipment, musical instruments, and these right here, drones from all the major brands. I just got back from NAB 2022 and Adorama already has all the latest gear on their site. If it's not ready for shipping, it's ready for pre-order, such as the new 24-70 2.8 G Master version 2 lens, as well as the new Aperture 600C Pro, which they did announce at NAB Day 2. Now, the one thing I do like about Adorama's website is that they do have a used section. So even if you're looking at new camera gear or even drones like this is the DJI Air 2S, they do have a few used units, so if you want to save a little bit more money off of retail, make sure you guys check out that used section on Adorama's website. I'll leave all links to the gear we talked about in this video, so if you guys are looking for some of the best deals online, make sure you guys check out those links below from Adorama. And now, let's get back to the list on the Air 2S. The first reason we'll talk about of why you'll still want to pick up the Air 2S even a year later after release is this right here. The camera and the sensor on the Air 2S, that 1-inch sensor is something that they carried over from this guy right here, the DJI MAVIC 2. Now, one difference on the MAVIC 2 Pro, it is an adjustable aperture. You don't have an adjustable aperture on the Air 2S. It is a fixed 2.8. But I think that 1-inch sensor on these drones right here, kind of like that sweet spot for most flyers out there that want that balance between both camera quality and size of drone. And if you have been flying for a little bit and you do have the MAVIC 2 Pro, I'm sure you guys can all attest that this thing is a workhorse drone. More than likely, you might not have even upgraded or updated to the Air 2S. If you had this, one of the reasons why you might want to is because the Air 2S is a little bit more compact, a little bit lighter. But this drone right here with that 1-inch sensor, I think we have that sweet spot as far as drones, cameras, and size with that 1-inch sensor on these platforms. Next thing we'll talk about is transmission. And if you guys know me, transmission is probably my most important thing when you're out there flying. And the great thing about the Air 2S, it is using O3 or OcuSync 3 technology, which is DJI's latest transmission. The one thing that's great about it is that not only can you fly with the standard RCN1 remote control, if you do have the smart controller, even the original one, or if you have the RC Pro right here, you are able to use these remote controls with this drone. Next reason we'll talk about why this is still one of the best drones to get even in April 2022 is what you get for the size. Now, even though I have the DJI MAVIC 3, sometimes when I want to get up and go and I want to stay as light as possible but still have high quality, I will use this drone right here, the Air 2S. Even on my most recent snow trip when I went to Breckenridge, I brought the Air 2S because of its size over the MAVIC 3. I tried to pack my backpack where I'm carrying my gear as light as possible. And even though the size might not seem that big of a difference, it definitely is when you're packing a lot of gear in your bag. Next is the price. We are in that $999 range, which I think for what you get in this drone, definitely I think is a very, very competitive price. Like I mentioned with the MAVIC 2 Pro, when that released, we were still in that $1,500, $1,700 range. And then of course, when you jump over to the MAVIC 3, you're pushing $2,500 and up, depending if you have the Cine version. And with the DJI Mini 2 coming in around that $450, $500 range with a couple batteries, this thing right here, like I said, it's right there in the middle. So if you are not just a hobbyist, but you want to use your drone in more of a commercial setting and you want to have a little bit higher quality, a lot higher quality than something like the Mini 2, that's the reason why I think the Air 2S still has a place in 2022. Now, if you're flying in a place that you need to stay under that 250 gram mark, of course, that's something that the Air 2S can't do. You're going to want to jump over to something like the DJI Mini 2. Now, while 250 grams does have its place, there's also some limitations to it. That was the reason why I brought the Air 2S with me on my trip. I was going to be outdoors. I was going to be at elevation and Breckenridge. And also there's going to be snow, winds, and you don't want something too light out there because it could easily be thrown around. And I didn't want to go too big because it wouldn't fit in some of my bags that I was bringing. That's where this comes in. It fits right in the middle. It can definitely handle stronger winds because of the motors. It's a little bit heavier of a platform out there. And also when it comes to elevation too, the Air 2S definitely will handle a lot better than something like the Mini 2. Next feature we'll talk about is Focus Track, which is those three features. We have the Active Track, which is like the follow me function. You have Spotlight as well as Point of Interest. And of course we have obstacle avoidance on the Air 2S. So if you're a solo content creator like myself and you're out there and you want to be able to track yourself, you want to track a subject, that's where Focus Track really comes into play, and something like the Air 2S does have that function. And as far as obstacle avoidance, you do have the dual fronts, you have the back, you have the bottom. So if you do need obstacle avoidance or you want to be able to have that, especially if you're doing something like some of the Active Track or Focus Track modes, you do have that on the Air 2S. Now, as far as longevity goes, it does remind me of the MAVIC 2 Pro. Like I said, if you had the MAVIC 2 Pro, this thing even up to now is probably still a very, very good drone to use for all purpose. The one thing that the Air 2S does have a little bit of an advantage of is that size of drone and weight. So if you want to get something that has similar quality as the MAVIC 2 Pro, similar features, but you have a lot more of compact drone, I definitely think if you own the Air 2S, it'll probably satisfy majority of your needs out there. Now, of course, if you've been flying long enough and you have specific needs, like say, for instance, you need higher resolution or you do a lot of photography and prints like I do, I would like larger cameras, or I like larger cameras for my prints, then those specific types of needs is when you're gonna wanna look at other options out there. But for majority of stuff that I use it for, the Air 2S can definitely satisfy all of those needs. I think the only thing that would replace this is whatever the next version is, because of the fact that I still like the size and the quality of it. Whatever the next version of this, of course, is probably going to be that next one that you're going to want to have and probably will satisfy you again for the next few years. All these drones right here can easily be used in a professional setting, depending on the pilot, the post-processing, the type of shot you're going to get. It really depends on those things. It's not always just the camera. You want to look at some of the other factors as well. Huge thanks to our sponsor of this video, Adorama. If you guys are looking for some of the best deals on drones and even some used ones to save a little bit more, make sure you use those links down below in the video description. As always, if you guys got some value from this video, a big like would be much appreciated. And also don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos. This is Ultra Anastasio with FlytPath.com. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.